Beni Station.
Once upon a time, in a dense forest, a small bird had built her nest in the crook of a tree branch. She had laid several eggs, and was waiting for them to hatch. The bird knew that she needed to find food for her young ones as soon as they were born. So she spent her days flying around in search of insects and worms. One day, the mother bird flew out of her nest early in the morning to find food for her young ones. She flew around the forest, searching for insects and worms. She found a few but realized that it was not enough to feed her young ones. She decided to fly further out to find more food. As the day wore on, the mother bird became tired and hungry. She was about to give up when she saw a field filled with ripe corn. She knew that the corn would be perfect for her young ones and flew down to gather as much as she could. But just as the mother bird was about to take off, she heard a loud noise. It was the sound of the hunter's trap snapping shut. The mother bird looked around and saw that the hunter had caught a donkey in his trap. The donkey was thrashing about, trying to free itself from the trap. The mother bird felt a sense of sadness and fear. She knew that the hunter would not stop at just one animal and that her young ones could be next. She decided to fly back to her nest as fast as she could. As she flew back to her nest, the mother bird felt a sense of guilt. She knew that she had not gathered enough food for her young ones, and they would be hungry, but she also knew that she had to keep them safe from the hunter. Days turned into weeks, and the mother bird continued to fly out in search of food. She found some insects and worms, but not enough to feed her young ones. She became worried and anxious, wondering how she would feed her young ones. One day, the mother bird returned to her nest and found that her young ones had stopped chirping. She flew down to check on them and found that they had starved to death. The mother bird felt a sense of grief and despair. She had failed to protect her young ones and feed them. The hunter continued to set traps in the forest, catching animals for his dinner. He had no idea of the harm he was causing to the innocent creatures of the forest. He continued to hunt and trap animals, never realizing the pain and suffering he was causing. The mother bird never forgot the loss of her young ones. She flew around the forest, trying to find food for herself. She never laid eggs again, never wanting to go through the pain of losing her young ones. She knew that life in the forest was not easy, but she also knew that it was beautiful and filled with wonder. As for the hunter, he continued to hunt and trap animals, never realizing the harm he was causing. He never thought about the impact of his actions on the creatures of the forest. He continued to live his life, never knowing the pain and suffering he had caused. In the end, the mother bird learned a hard lesson about the fragility of life in the forest. She knew that the hunter was not evil, but simply ignorant. She hoped that one day he would realize the harm he was causing and change his ways. But until then, she flew around the forest, remembering her young ones and hoping for a better future.